Thank you for coming tonight to the meeting about St. Francis. Can turn the microphone over to the mayor.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you everyone for coming here. And I see our North Ward Councilwoman, Jennifer Williams, is here as well. I think what I first want to do is acknowledge the long history of St. Francis. And the city has a lot of affinity. If I had a nickel for everybody said I was born there, the coffers would be very rich. Nonetheless, hospital care has changed. Anybody who's been to an urgent care has taken away a lot of the hospital business. Procedures are shorter, the stays are shorter, and when Trinity assumed ownership of St. Francis, it just did not get manageable because the building and the facility was so old. And Capital Health gave it the college try to take over St. Francis. They were operating out of the ER room. And then it was deemed their building C, where the emergency room was deemed structurally unsound. So even Capital Health had to move out. And what the big fear is, we don't want another Mercer Hospital. Mercer Hospital is privately owned, and as much as the city tries to push them along, not much has been happening with that property. This gives an opportunity for a new beginning. It's a 7-acre campus. The demolition itself is going to create jobs. The fact that LIUNA is here demonstrates that local folks, local union workers are going to have jobs working on this demolition. But what more importantly is what is envisioned in the future. We want, the Department of Health wants some type of medical facility there.
Yes.
And we can work with our partners at Capital Health to have medical arts facility, but also tell you about a concept called NORC, Naturally Occurring Retirement Community, for senior housing. And if you have medical arts there, if you have food over there, you can take care of a whole community as they retire, and their services are all in one campus. So we hope to have the area vibrant. We are going to have an exchange of ideas of what will go there afterwards. We're grateful to the partnership with Trinity because they're going to hand over the property to Trenton. And so the difference between what happened in Mercer, where it went private, and there's more incentive when the city owns the property itself, because we want to ensure that it's developed rapidly and that it is returned to the community. And we also acknowledge that there is going to be disruption. It's going to take a while to get the job done as far as demolition, but it's not the old wall that whacks the building down or is imploded. They're doing it very carefully, and Steve Schwartz from the demolition company will talk. But right now they're doing asbestos removal. And so even before they start demolishing it, they're demolishing it from the inside so that it's the safest way to take down the structures. The garage is going to be the first building that's going to be demolished, and that is the first edifice that was deemed unstable. They had to close the garage for many years, and that will be the first building that will go down. And then after the asbestos is removed, and also keep in mind that the State Department of Labor, State Department of Health is going to be overseeing the project so that the health consequences are at a minimum. And again, it's going to be disruptive. And I see Freddie and Rosa are here from McDonald's. So everybody from LIUNA, if you want a meal, go over to McDonald's. Because they want to see business as well. And we want the economy to keep going in Trenton and enjoy the other restaurants that we have. I see our council president, Yasminelli Gonzalez, is here, and our at-large Councilwoman Crystal Feliciano is here as well. So thank you very much for coming. We are all concerned, but the building has to come down, and it will take a while. And again, it's not the ball and chain that's knocking it down. It's all modern equipment to disassemble this building and to make it as safe as possible. But not only will the city be watching, but the state will be watching, and to make sure that everything is as safe as possible. And in fact, I know that the Trinity and the Demolition Company put flyers out in the neighborhood, offered to do an assessment of people's houses now, so that if there is any claimed vibration damage, you can actually prove it with their assistance. They're going to look at your structure, they'll take pictures, and they'll make sure the homes are in the condition now and then after the demolition. So we think the community is very important, but we also want to see the future of Trenton. This is not going to be an idle property. This is our goal, is to return it again. And in the very fabric of returning it to productive, will create jobs now and in the future. So I want to turn it over to Trinity Healthcare's representative, Dan Moen. He's been very accessible. Where'd you fly out from?
I drove from New Hampshire this morning.
He drove from New Hampshire, the Granite State. He has offered to come back as much as possible that we need. And so he's been very accessible, so I really thank him. And I met Steve Schwartz just last week when he handed in the plan, the demolition plan. It had to get the permitting. And the only permit you got so far is for the garage, right? Or
That's right now, but the others were submitted this morning.
So he submitted a plan, and he has to get a permit per building. And the only permit that has been given so far is the garage. So I want to turn it over to Dan. Thanks so much for coming all the way from the Granite State.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to our partnership.
Thank you.
Let's give Rick a shout. He's been very accessible and open during this process as well, and it's really, we want to be great partners in this important community effort. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan Moen. I was the former St. Francis President and CEO for approximately 5 years before the transfer of the corporation to Capital. And I've been with Trinity Health for about 13 years now. So, and again, Trinity wants to be a great partner as this goes forward. So just a little bit of history. So the hospital corporation was transferred to Capital in December of 2022. And Capital had a lease on the facility so that they could do the emergency room and clinic services there. And as the mayor noted, we had a structural building failure in June of this year, and so Capital had to vacate the premises, and now Dr. Schwartz is here. The patient's going to the regional campus for their emergency coverage, and actually Dr. Schwartz is involved with clinic patients as well, who've been relocated to his facilities, or Capital's facilities that he's a part of. So that's the time frame. And that was sort of unexpected. I mean, we didn't know that there was going to be that building failure, but we suspected there were going to be problems. And Capital was unable to find another facility in East Trenton, so they were staying there, but still attempting to do that. And so the building failure really set a series of issues in motion. So the big point I'd like to make is that Trinity is absolutely committed to its promise, which was to take this facility down in a very safe and cautious way, but to be able to have that facility, that piece of land, be available for development in the city of Trenton. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of community input as to what that looks like. I would be thrilled to have some medical services back on that site. It will no doubt be a mixed use. but that would be a great outcome. You know, I think all the way back to when the sisters started St. Francis, right? Back in the 1800s. Well, this is their legacy, right? So we want to be helpful to the city of Trenton and helpful to all the residents in the area, because that's what the sisters were born. If they were here helping us at this point, and we pay a lot of attention to that. And this is not an inexpensive process. It's over $20 million that's being expended to do this in the right way. So again, I'm very proud to be a part of Trinity, because Trinity does the right thing. And this is the right thing to do as far as Trenton is concerned. So, time is of the essence. The buildings are not in good shape. We all know that. I did a little tour of the facility today, and you know, although it's stood the test of time and been the source of many good things in the city for a long time, it's time to take it down, take it to the ground, and you know, the conditions of the building are one thing we have to be concerned about. But the other thing is, the sooner we get the building down, the sooner we can start working on what's going to be on this property. Development of that property, and that's important for the economy and all of East Trenton. We've got Chris Day here today. He's our Northeast Facilities Director for Trinity. He's like our day-to-day contact here in Trenton, and we've also got representatives from our contracting partners who are going to talk as well. I know there are going to be a lot of questions, right? That's good. That's what this is about. This is about asking questions and getting some, you know, if we don't have an answer, we'll certainly work to get that to you. And this is a start. This is not the beginning, the end of the communications on this. And we want to be a good partner on that as it goes forward as well. So let's get somebody up here who can really talk about the demolition and what the plan is going forward. And that's Steve Schwartz. And Steve, introduce yourself to the crowd here. And he was walking through the building today while I was in there, so he knows this stuff. Thank you, everybody.
All right, first of all, this is just dumped on me that I have to come up here and talk. So if you have any questions, I just literally was sitting here writing some notes down. It's not the first time I've done anything like this. If you've never heard of Haynes and Kibble House, we did the Trump Casino implosion down Atlantic City. We just finished a job down in Cherry Hill, a 9-story building at the Cherry Hill Mall. I've been in the business for over 50 years. Yes, I am old. All right. As you know, basically there's 10 buildings on site. Some of them, they're all intertwined. There's some underground vaults, there's tunnels, etc. It's probably going to take 1.5 to 2 years to complete. Sounds like a long time, but there's a lot of building, a lot of square footage there. Give you an idea of the sequence of events. First thing we have to do is we're going to go into a building, isolate the electric branch circuits, which basically means we're just going to leave the main electric going up and down through the building. Reason we're leaving that is for the asbestos work, which we'll get into in a minute. Once that electric's done, universal waste, which is fluorescent bulbs, ballast, mercury switches, etc., will be removed of and disposed of properly. That work will be done by a subcontractor. After that work, building by building, this is going to go, by the way. After that, the gut out will start. Gut out meaning all the partitions, anything in the interior. Basically, the only thing that'll be left is the slab, the structure, and the exterior facade. So that gets done. Then comes the asbestos removal. The majority of asbestos in this building is floor tile. First of all, it's not something that becomes friable, which means dangerous unless you really grind it up. However, it has to be removed per city code, per state code, per EPA, and OSHA. So there's 4 or 5 different organizations at least that will be keeping an eye on the project. So the asbestos work is actually also something that's going to be subcontracted. Both of those subcontractors for you guys up in the front are union. Don't worry, we got you covered. All right. Then we come back in to the electric and water cutoff. Water, once again, is also needed during asbestos work to make sure you keep it wet, keep it from becoming airborne. Now comes the fun part, at least from my standpoint, that's the actual demolition. Demolition will be done using high-reach excavator. We have one excavator that's 125 tons. You'll probably see it move up before the end of the month on site and be put together. It will have a 90-foot boom to start with. Eventually, when we get around to the 9-story, we'll put the other piece on, and I think it's 120 foot. Yeah. That will have an attachment on the end of it, or different attachments on the end of it, and basically the building will come down as if a giant Pac-Man was there, chomping at it, okay? If you go back and look at the newspapers from Cherry Hill, they'll actually probably have pictures of that same piece of equipment doing the 9-story. As that comes down, there will be misters set up to keep dust suppressed. Dust is obviously not just a problem relative to getting on your cars and all that, but it's not a good thing to breathe that dust. OSHA has recently put regulations in pertaining to that. Our 125-ton excavator has an attachment actually that goes up the boom that sprays water as it munches. Most of our equipment has that. If not, we have what's called a mister, which is basically, if you've ever seen snowmaking machines, without the freezing, okay? The only problem becomes obviously in the dead of the winter, the freezing does take place. So there's careful control on when you can use that, when you can use water, when you cannot, etc. We'll probably at times also have a water truck on site, just to supplement with hoses and guys on the ends of the hoses, etc. Let's see, vibration. Vibration is always a concern. Everybody here, I'm sure, is concerned if you live in the area. Vibration is going to be monitored, and any time that we exceed what is considered a normal limit, we get a notification and we'll basically stop work, etc. But I don't see that as being a problem. It's not like we're imploding the building or anything along those lines. It's a systematic demolition. Yes, there will be large pieces that will be munched down, especially any precast concrete, etc. But once again, when it munches, it falls to the ground, it doesn't have a large impact. Let's see here. Oh, once the building's done, we get to backfill it. Basically, take the footings and foundations to 3 foot below grade, and then we backfill it with crushed concrete. So there will be a crusher on site. Once again, that will have water to it at all times. The backfilling, then we put topsoil, 5 inches of topsoil goes on top, and seed. And then hopefully everybody says thank you and we leave. So, and we all get paid. That's all I've got. Anybody have questions? Yes?
Thank you. So what happens in the process of all of this being knocked down and stuff, with like rodents and all of that kind of stuff?
I didn't mention it here, but before I get a permit, I have to prove out that there's rodents have been taken care of. There's traps out there already. I guess they've been out there for some time by Trinity, but we will update that. That's part of the permit process. We have to give a letter.
And the other day, there was some work that was done with the gentleman. He was very nice. He explained that he moved the big, I guess, metal plate or whatever it is with the machinery that he had. I'm also a teacher leader here at the high school.
Okay.
So, but dust was like everywhere in here, and the water and stuff was not on site at that time.
Yeah, I've already heard about that. Number one, he will have water because there was some hang up. It seems as though the permit for the hydrants got set aside somewhere in the office. That was taken care of today. There will be hoses laying across the street with ramps that go over them, etc. Because most of the hydrants are on the other side of the street. Of course, it doesn't make it easy for us, but and relative to dust, there will be dust on site. There's nothing I can do about it. However,
Change the timing, is it possible? I have asked administration about this. Is there any way, and I can't dictate how you do what you do, but is there a way to maybe start whatever when you're moving stuff around like 9:30 in the morning as opposed to like 8 in the morning, because we have elementary school kids, we have people trying to work. There's a lot of things that are happening at that time in the morning.
Right. Our normal work hours are 7 to 3:30, to be honest with you. Anything that you shift before that or after that becomes overtime, even if it's still an 8-hour day. However, I will tell you, water will be used extensively. I'll also tell you, and this is, I don't know how to say this, the misters, when they are working, all right, it looks like dust. However, if you walk through it, you'll get wet, okay? Like I said, dust, we're gonna create it. It's not supposed to go outside of the fence line. That's the primary thing. The gentleman that you spoke to, I'm sure he apologized, and John's a good guy, and he will do everything he can to resolve any issues relative to that.
So who's our, we have a construction official, like when we have with the city that you be working with?
Right now, I'm working with the building department to get the permits. Beyond that, they really, they don't want to dictate how to do a job because that isn't really their job.
Not to dictate, but just to, you know, if there's somebody designated to just be in communication, come out, see what's going on. I'm not a contractor, I don't know how this works, so I'm just asking the question.
I don't know.
Yes, there is.
There is, I don't know who it is at this point. I do a lot of work in Philadelphia, so I know the people down there. I don't know anybody up here right now, except for the mayor. Could you speak up?
Yeah. So you gave us a lot of information. It's a lot in terms of, but you also see a PowerPoint or some wire to do that. But anyway, so the St. Francis site, there are plans to have a emergency room in the future. Is that what the plans are?
John,
On that site?
I don't know what that,
Right, that says that y'all knock the building down, that there's going to be an emergency room on that site, because as a Trenton resident, I'm comfortable with the city of Trenton having one emergency room. And number two, I want to see if maybe the city could pass an ordinance to require that piece of land, if it is transferred to the city, that they have to put an emergency room there. I would like to see something like that. You also mentioned that the building is structurally unsound. Is there an engineering report to verify that? Does that exist?
Back when the building, it's actually building out for the boilers are, and that was a roof that failed. And I know that Capital was the leaseholder at that point. They did work and had an engineering study done of that roof, and it was basically something that could not be repaired.
So there was a study done of the roof, not the whole facility?
Well, it's a wood frame building, and it was one where there was already bracing put in the building because of wear over the years. So it was not in a repairable situation.
But is there an engineering report to verify that exists that the building is structurally unsound?
I would imagine the Capitol has that report, but I don't have a copy of that. Unless anybody has any other information as far as that study was concerned.
Timeline of demolition, you said it's how many years ago?
1 to 2.
I'd say it's more towards the upper end of that.
1.5 to 2 is what I had said.
Yep. And as far as what services go on the campus, obviously Trinity, we would certainly contribute any thoughts to it up to the time that the property is transferred. But what happens there is really a clean sheet of paper right now. And as far as specific health services, such as emergency room, that's yet to be determined. Because really it's who would the city and others get to come in and provide services on that site, and what would they be willing to do?
My question has to do with, because we were told, basically the whole hospital isn't, that it's going to be taken down. That's all in bad shape, structural deficient.
Right.
Starting with the garage, which we knew was a problem.
Yep.
Why is the older part of the hospital structurally deficient, the part that faces Hamilton Avenue, and how it couldn't be incorporated into any future development? And then my second question is, as far as any of the nuclear materials, like in radiology for radiation, for X-ray, or something, how does that get handled? But if you can answer both those questions, please.
Well, as far as the radiation piece is concerned, all the radiology equipment's been removed from that site.
Okay.
And there were never any permanent, I'm a radiology technologist by background, by the way, so this one I do know a little bit about. But any nuclear studies that were done, that material was brought in on a daily basis. And so there's no long-term storage of any radioactive materials on the site. So that's all been taken care of. What was the other question?
The other, the older portion of the hospital, the historic portion that faces Trenton High and Hamilton Avenue.
Well, back when we were having discussions with Capital, we went through a process called due diligence. They did a comprehensive study of the facility as part of their due diligence. That document proved what we, pretty much what we thought, which was, there was no way to effectively or efficiently preserve part of that campus. The buildings were in such difficult shape. One thing I'll tell you is that, so I was there as the CEO for 5 years. And even though we knew in the long run that building was not going to be used, those buildings were not going to be used, Trinity agreed to spend $12 million over that period of time, knowing that the buildings were going to come down, but needing to make sure that they were safe. The roofs, elevators, pumps, chillers, all that stuff. So there was an investment of that, made, of that type made, but we all knew in the long run this was, to be an efficient and effective hospital facility these days, it's very difficult to take older buildings and make that happen. The new hospitals that are being designed today are radically different from what you see in these older types of physical plants. And you've got to remember that other than sort of the entryway, main entrance to the hospital and some other ancillary facilities, the newest building on that site is over 50 years old. So, and back. So, again, just think of all the great things that happened at St. Francis over all those years, right? But the buildings have really reached the end of their useful life. And I think everybody is thinking is that, it's better for the city and others to have a clean slate and be able to design that from scratch and make it a beautiful new facility for that part of East Trenton. I got to tell you, when I walk into this high school, I was just talking to somebody the other day. I said, this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Right? This facility. It's just, and it's what Trenton deserves. It's what the students in Trenton deserve. And again, we want to make some new facilities, or we'd love to see some new facilities on this site, that are going to make Trenton stronger.
Is a permit needed for asbestos removal?
The thing is, it is a very historical site. My mother actually worked there for many, many years through her retirement as a nurse's aide. And in the 1980s, particularly, St. Francis Hospital was one of the few hospitals in the area that would handle patients from the beginning of the AIDS crisis to the end of the AIDS crisis. So, including all the history of the nursing, the sisters, the nursing school, will that be memorialized once the new facility is built?
I would love to see that. I think that'd be a very appropriate thing to recognize the sisters and all the people who provided all those services over the years. And that's a great suggestion. I think we should incorporate that into our thinking.
Yeah, these underground vaults, and there used to be bomb shelters under. There was a connection between the old high school and St. Francis Hospital back in the 50s or the 40s. I don't know when it was built, but I'd been told that at the high school that there were connections, bomb shelters in place for emergency evacuation. And I was wondering, the vaults
to the best of my knowledge.
The reason I asked is because
Yeah.
in terms of our FEMA plan and our emergency, our emergency plans in the city, we really don't have a lot built into our emergency plans. And if there was a way to grandfather it, and if there is a way to use under foundation
Most
I
probably.
mean, for parking.
Yeah.
That could then be used for,
Most probably, those have been blocked up years ago or gone. There's no evidence that I have seen. Ed, have you seen anything? You've been around that building a lot more than I have, but we've seen no evidence of any tunnels going across or under the street. What you're talking about in the way of bomb shelters, I'm familiar with what they are, and normally what it is the basements.
yeah.
Okay, well, the basements are going to be gone, they're going to be filled. And then eventually, when they build back, whether a new code requires bomb shelters
Well,
or
no,
anything like that.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
underground parking.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
thinking,
that's
you know,
that's
in
up to
development
that's
and-
up to the new development. I'm the
That's
demolition
way
guy. What
out.
more can I tell you?
Yeah.
And I've seen that poor person. There's been a couple questions up there.
Yeah, thanks, that's all.
Yeah.
As a resident of Burnett, my concern is when the lights go off at the hospital, are you guys going to put any lights there?
Hang on a
Because it
second.
gets real dark on Bird Avenue when those lights are off at the hospital. That's understandable. Hi, I'm a resident of Bird Avenue, and my concern is about the lights. When the lights go off on St. Francis, what are you going to do about that? Because it gets real dark around here. There's already high crime around here in that area.
Steve, can you repeat what the question was?
Okay, the question is,
But the
what's
lighting.
going to happen to the lighting? I guess once the hospital's gone, there'll be no exterior lighting in the area, and she has some concerns. I don't know what the future plans are. Do you-
So good point, but I don't know if there's been any discussion on that at this point. I mean, the good thing, the bad thing, I guess, is it's going to take probably 2 years to do this. So it gives us some runway to plan what these grounds will be used for and what the facilities look like. And I'm sure that one of the things that would be taken into account would be lighting in the area as well.
Is a permit needed for the asbestos removal?
Absolutely.
So
That's
you
a
have
state-
a permit, so you have a permit for the asbestos?
That's in process. That is in process.
You said
That's
that
required.
you're removing asbestos?
We're not removing it now. It has not started yet. Okay, I know the mayor said that, but he misspoke on the timing. We haven't done anything on site yet,
Okay.
except for we're setting up for mobilization of that big piece of equipment.
And can you tell me about the truck route when you start to remove some of the materials there? What route is it going to take outside through the city?
We have not actually established that yet, to be honest with you, and we'll work with the town relative to that.
There's approximately 2,000 students that attend this school. A lot of them walk past that property. Are they going to be forced to the other side of the street from where the fence is currently?
There will, the fence will, as we're working, for instance, when we do that garage, you don't want to be next to that fence. Everybody's going to have to go to the other side of the street. There'll be signs up, the fence will be kicked out, there'll be crossover, there's a walkway, as I recall, right around there, so people will be redirected how to go.
Have you had any discussions with school officials about moving students to the other side of the street? Have you had
No.
any meetings with the school officials?
No, we've talked to the I guess it's the people that take care of the sidewalks. I don't remember the name of the department, but we've talked to them about how we plan on doing it, and they're in favor of it. And like I said, it'll all be posted with arrows and the whole, route designated.
My concern is with the 2,000 students.
Understood,
Going
right.
past the property.
Understood, but
Extra
anytime,
traffic, big trucks, dust, whatever. My concern is really about the kids and the faculty that work here.
understand we have those same concerns.
Will you have conversations with the school officials prior
That
to
is,
this
yes,
beginning?
it shouldn't be a problem, to be honest with you. I don't have any problem doing that. I guess maybe they want to put a bulletin out when we do things like that to let the students know that they should cross the street and follow the signs.
And if you start your workday at 7 and the kids start their school day at 7:45, 7:30, there's no wiggle room there?
Not really. There's the gentleman that's all the way up there. You've been patient.
When this whole process is finished, is there any estimate of what will happen to our home values? Up, down? Maybe the mayor can answer that.
Well, go around Mercer Hospital and see the whole values there. We have a choice. You just do nothing and leave the hospital abandoned, but that's what's going to happen. It will be abandoned. And even if you renovate somehow, you find a developer, I want those old buildings, that project is going to close the campus as well. So it's a difficult situation. We recognize it. But I think property values in the long run, and I would advise somebody to buy property on Bird Avenue because you're going to have a brand new facility here. You're going to have housing there. And who knows, many of the laborers here that are working on the hospital may want to stick around.
Yeah,
I just want to pony off of his question.
you have to speak up.
I want to pony off of his question. I don't need to. In terms of the street, are you looking to close streets? Because those are some of the major roadways in the city. You're talking about Chambers Street and Hamilton Avenue.
No, we're not
Is that gonna
planning
be
on.
part of the plan?
We are not planning on closing any streets. If you look at the majority of those buildings, they're set back from the street. The only one that I have a concern relative to pedestrian or automobile traffic is the garage, which is the first building being demoed. Otherwise, most of the buildings are set back. I guess it's the emergency room has a canopy that gets fairly close to the street, but it's still plenty far away.
Before the closure, I guess Trinity had discussed a plan where when the garage came down, there was the garage and the school behind it. That would allow some actual construction to begin. I mean, some planning so that it could be, development is going on. I mean, is that a possibility or?
Well, we'd originally talked about the garage and the school of nursing, because the school of nursing building is particularly difficult shape, that those would come down first so that there's a laydown area for building materials, those sorts of things. So again, I'm out of my league on this discussion.
Well, you're talking about the he wants to start new construction before the demolition is done.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
They had spoken, that was the plan that they gave us in the community in the beginning. I just, not that I want that, I just.
Yeah, I think, there are a lot of possibilities discussed previously. I think everybody's in agreement that, well, there's largely an agreement that it's best to take the whole thing down, again, let people start from scratch. It makes, trying to mix, again, I'm out of my league here, but trying to mix construction and demolition at the same time are probably not going to be very helpful. But that's just me talking. Am I right, Steve? Or?
Just a value judgment on my behalf. And well, like I said, I've got a lot of experience doing this stuff. When you start new construction, you need lots of underground, lots of other things. Utilities become an issue. They may want to pull something off of Hamilton Avenue to feed whatever you build back there. It becomes a whole planning. And as I understand it, and this is from the mayor, is they're still looking how to develop it properly. Now, a year from now, maybe half the site's down. Maybe they come to me and say, hey, Steve, can we build over here? We're not opposed to it, as long as we still have room to work. So that's up to
All kinds of
other people. There's lots of things. This is a moving target.
When is the tentative start date for demo? When are you?
Actually, the commencement of the parking garage is mid-October, and that starts with the actual, like I said, the universal waste removal, all that stuff. We will be out there later this week, the beginning of next, putting this large piece of equipment together. That takes the better part of a week. It's a big piece.
And moving forward, can we have more community meetings? Because I think there might be more other people in the community who couldn't be here, have more community meetings.
I'll leave that up to the mayor. That's not my job. I'm just a wrecker.
No, and we support that as well. Absolutely.
For the next 18 months, you say it's going to be like some time frame for the demolition. The traffic is going to be a big issue. which way your trucks are going to be heading out from?
We have not determined that yet, to be honest with you. There's a couple local contractors. The majority of trucks heading out are going to be the big trucks with 100-yard, basically, trucks that are going to be hauling the trash and soft demo debris. So that'll be for the first year, most probably. After that, there will be material that's going to have to be hauled in to fill the basements properly, because there's not enough material on site. So we will be hauling in. Those traffic patterns, to be honest with you, have not been established yet. We have talked to 1 or 2 local haulers relative to the trash, so they may know the better routes.
And also different times. You could do that on different times.
It's good to know because we have to let the community know to find the other alternative roads.
I don't think you're going to see, I don't think it's going to be like you're envisioning. It's not going to screw you up that much, to be honest with you. 100-yard trucks, yes, they're big trucks, but it takes a while to fill them. Okay?
Because it's a busy
I understand. I've been driving around there.
Yeah, all day long.
Just to Mr. Parker's question and my colleague, Councilman Feliciano's concerns, we're going to be, by the time you get started, we're going to be about 2 months into the school year. I'm just wondering, and I know you have to do this job for the, the budget you set and the contract you agreed to. Would you not be possible for you to start later on the days that there are school in session? Because there's going to be plenty of days where school is not in session. It could start earlier in the morning. And I'm just wondering, 90 minutes, shouldn't make a huge difference, and there's going to be more kids coming in the morning than going out at the same time later in the day, if I'm not wrong, because of sports, extra activities, and so forth.
I'll be honest with you.
You know that better than I do,
Yeah, can we shift it? Yeah, but there's a major cost differential. We can talk about it. We can see what we can do. You're saying there's a lot of days during the week that maybe there wouldn't be.
Oh, they have the convention in Atlantic City. They got Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but that's when you think about a year and a half. I know the convention all too well because I go to Disney with my kids all the time. So,
Have you, has anyone been out here in the morning to see what happens in the morning? Because it's a nightmare between the parents that fight at the light at Hamilton and Chambers to turn here, the people that are trying to get their kids here, the teachers trying to get here. Everybody loves the breakfast food at McDonald's across the street. So now you got people fighting to get in and out of McDonald's. You got the people trying to cut through. There's a lot of action that is happening here early in the morning. Have you seen this for yourself?
yes, we have. We understand. Okay. Am I going to impact that? The only thing, like I said, the only places that I can see difficulty relative to that is going to be at the parking garage. Otherwise, we are set back far enough that I'm sorry about that. But I honestly, I don't see the problem. It's going to be the same as it is right now for the majority of the job. The parking garage, I have concerns, and we will deviate and have people walking over, crossing the street, etc.
I think we need we'll definitely need notification of exactly what's going on and when, so that way, you know what I mean? So that way people know what to expect. So if you have not been in touch with the superintendent of schools, I think that definitely needs to happen. And I think a conversation with our principal here at the high school needs to happen, just so people are aware, as well as the community at large. But you need to have those conversations and alerts so that everyone understands exactly what's happening and when, because our students start school, first class is 7:30 in the morning.
Understood.
Is where we start.
I understand where you're going and where you're coming from. Mr. Mayor, I'll ask you to help me set something up.
Absolutely.
All right?
Would you be willing to pay for a crossing guard?
That's up to Trinity. That's not a crossing guard.
Y'all gonna have to do something.
Would you be willing to pay the cost of crossing guard, you're paying $20 million to bring down the building. I mean,
Every dollar gets reported after 20 million.
crossing guard is an hour in the morning and afternoon.
I agree. It's a good thing to have discussions with the superintendent of schools and the high school principal, and let's see what comes out of those discussions.
Right.
Is demo going to be Monday through Friday, or is it
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday demo?
Yeah. Yeah, now that we may, when we get into particularly sensitive areas, which once again, parking garage is when we're probably doing work on where we feel there's more danger, whatever, they may decide, the superintendent may decide to work on a Saturday. Okay, that's up to him. It's a value judgment on his part. I'm going to tell you, usually when I bid a job and I sit down with the prospective owner prior to getting the job, the first question comes out of their mouth is, how are you going to do the job? Okay, it's always a concern. And I will say how I'm going to do the job. And then I will preface it by saying, but the minute the superintendent steps on site, he takes command, because he's ultimately the responsible person. Okay, so if he decides, hey, I've got to work a Saturday, that's his choice. I think our boss will agree with that one. The field drives the job, not guys like me.
Dan, can you answer a couple questions about who actually owns the land that the buildings are on?
Trinity Health, and actually there's a New Jersey subsidiary for Trinity Health. It's called Maxis. It was set up that way because of regulations previously. But yeah, Trinity's the owner of the land.
So when you demolish the buildings for $20 million, the word transfer you use about transferring it to the city's going to get the property for free?
I think, we've still got those issues under discussion. So
I mean, it doesn't even sound reasonable that you're going to spend $20 million, clear the property, and then hand it over to Reed. I mean, it just doesn't, I can't imagine your stockholder saying, yeah, that's what we want to do.
Well, the nice thing is we don't have stockholders.
Well,
because we're a not-for-profit company. We're talking about considerations back and forth between the city and Trinity, but those are very preliminary discussions. More to come.
Is it likely you're going to sell it to the city?
What's that?
Is it more likely, you're going to sell the property to the city? You say transfer, that doesn't sound like it's a financial, right?
That's why I use that word. No, it's, again, this consideration being discussed between the city and Trinity. I can tell you that we do not really want to have to sell this property at the end to whoever bids on it, because we think the right place for it, the right place for the decision making, really sits with the city and the residents of the city.
No. And I will tell you that even though it was out of your control, the departure of St. Francis Medical Center from this community left a lot of people in the lurch. Your organization, your hospital had a real connection with the people that live in this community, whether it was Breakfast with Santa, outreach by Father Carmen. So I will tell you, I mean, I live 2 blocks away, that it has really made a horrible impact with the residents who live here. I know that a lot of it is out of your control, but I will vouch for most of the residents that live in this area. It's been crushing to drive 2 miles to the nearest hospital or 8 miles to another one. To not have emergency services, it's just not good.
No, when I walked through the building today, it pained me, to walk through the facility. Because I agree, I was part of the institute, part of the organization for 5 years, and very special organization. The team was amazing, it's a great mission. Legacy of the sisters, all that stuff. And but it goes to show you how much stress there is on hospitals these days, and that even an organization like that, just could not make it. And the other thing to remember is Trinity for many years subsidized significant operating losses to the institution. And a lot of that had to do with, payer mix and services and those sorts of things. But in the end, it was like hospitals across the country. You know, Trinity's got 100 hospitals across the country, so we see what's happening in a bunch of different places. And hospitals are under more stress now than I've ever seen in my career. I've been a hospital CEO for over 35 years. So it's a tough time for hospitals, especially urban safety net hospitals. They're under some of the most pressure, that and small rural facilities. But, you know, I think in this country, bigger discussion, you know, we have to make a decision as to what's important, and obviously healthcare is critical. So I share your thoughts, Ellie. I just, you know, it would be, I don't think it was the end result that any of us would have asked for, but it's one, I think, that had to be made, and now how do we take that decision and transfer it and grow something new in the city that's going to be a real plus for the people in this area, immediately adjacent to the hospital, but something that will benefit all other people as well. So I got to tell you, it was crushing for me to walk through that facility today because I know how many good things were done in it over the decades. I agree with you.
There's a lady up.
No, let the lady go first, please.
No, I don't have a question, it's a statement, but I didn't know you guys coming out here and speaking to us, but once this building is down, do not forget, and I really appreciate to make sure that you guys. I just want to make a statement to not forget the community when you guys knock this building down, and we need to be a part of the decision of whatever does go, like, the gentleman said, I mean, I'm not old enough to remember St. Francis like that, but it was a pillar in the community, and we want to make sure whatever does go there, we have a say because we live here. So I appreciate you guys being open and honest now on that demolition, but don't forget us when you start that building. Forget it. Oh, one more question, Mayor. I'm sorry. My other question is for another statement. So, like, I live in Commonwealth, right? And I am so sick and tired of getting tickets because of those, like, signs out there. Since that hospital isn't there anymore, can we have those signs taken down so that I can park in front of my house without getting a ticket?
Right, so that's
I have like 6 tickets.
That's the mayor, give them parking signs.
Oh, something about parking signs.
Parking permits.
Maybe you heard it.
And by the way, it's a great comment about the community. I think, you know, we would love to be part of that discussion. And, you know, but again, the decision will be made after we're probably gone to some degree. But I know the mayor's committed to that as well.
I'm so glad you asked that question because it was discussed today. Do you really need to permit parking anymore because the hospital is gone? That was done by permit. So the council people over here would have to change the ordinance that taking away that. But we're all for that, and we had that discussion today. And the other thing I can't emphasize, this building itself was a construction site for a few years. And everybody had an affinity to the old high school. It was a piece of history. And I was in the legislature and tried to get them to save the cupola, the facade. And because the architects couldn't decide whether to save, raise, or save partially, it went through all 4 years of John Corzine. He finally, on leaving, he said, I'm just going to set aside $120 million, and you guys figure it out. As soon as Chris Christie was sworn in, he took the money away. So the other thing is by partial demolition, you created your own unique problems. And so as soon as we can get the building down, just like this high school, look at what an amazing facility has emerged since then that is a model high school for New Jersey. And we want to have a model mixed use medical arts across the street that would still be in liking to St. Francis's mission.
Mayor?
I do get a question.
Just want to make sure that we do, as Joe had said, have continual meetings so that more people come. This is the best opportunity to create neighborhoods, to bring together our whole East Ward on something that means a lot to all of us and our kids.
Harry, I can't agree with you more. LA said before, turn the building over to Reed. You're turning it over to you. Of course, we're going to have community meetings because I have an idea what should be there, you have an idea that should be there, but we really need the community input and to make sure that what goes there afterwards is in the best interest of the city of Trenton.
Got a gentleman right there.
Two-part question. So that's okay. You're going to keep it in medical field, that space?
This is Reed Gussiora speaking, and also the Department of Health. They didn't want Capital Health, and Dr. Schwartz is a witness, they didn't want Capital Health to close there. They assumed control of the emergency room. It was just structurally unsound to continue there. But the Department of Health wants to have medical services over there. I believe that the city of Trenton should have medical services there. And when you build a mixed-use facility, you could put in medical arts, you could put in a food court, and you could put senior housing. And I think that would be a great makeover for that block. But if the community wants something different, then that's called a consensus.
I live in the corner of St. Francis and Revere, and I thought, when my old lady was discussing, I said, maybe they're going to put an urgent care there. We definitely need more hospital beds in the city.
Yes. Yes, that's what I envision. When I say medical arts, it's a fancy word for urgent care.
I have another question for the demolition guy.
Uh-oh.
Because I'm so close to there, on Revere Avenue and St. Francis Avenue, you talk about the garage. Now, not for nothing, but I've worked in St. Francis for 34 years.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing, Dan?
How are you?
So, are you going to take it down piece by piece?
As I said, it's basically going to be this large excavator is going to munch it, okay, and cut the steel. There's actually, I know it's probably hard to understand, but there's actually almost a pair of scissors on the end of the boom for cutting the steel. If some of the steel is too heavy, we'll torch cut it and basically let it fall, and the concrete will just be munched up.
His concern for safety is more the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what my concern was.
Yeah. Well, that sidewalk will be closed there when we're doing that because of the proximity.
So you're going to start with the garage, then you will go to Crean Hall?
Going to create
School nursing.
There's a whole sequence that we have of wrecking that, and then there's there's a few low one-story buildings, two-story buildings. What is it? The
Chamber Street entrance?
Yeah, yes. That whole series of buildings, the chapel, etc., and then over to the nursing school. Okay, I think that's the order. We kind of bounced back and forth a little, but we just submitted permits with a series of events and how we're going to sequence it all.
Because I know a few years ago we was talking about taking down St. Clair Hall, but we couldn't do it because the construction underneath, stuff that connected.
Yeah. Well, see, a lot of the infrastructure, those buildings are all tied together on infrastructure.
Yeah.
So we couldn't take down that building because it sat on top of some extremely critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
Plumbing, electrical. So that's why that sat there for a long period of time, because taking it down would have been an enormous task, and we didn't want to put that infrastructure in the basement.
It was that right by the chapel, right?
Well, that's, as you walk to the main entrance, it's the building that was immediately on the left.
Yeah.
It was the nurses, sisters' quarters at one time.
Yeah.
Is the St. Francis statue still there or moved somewhere? There was a statue of St. Francis, right?
I think they took that out of there.
Yeah, I think that was taken out. I know that
Do you know where it is? Anybody?
I can tell you that, as far as the religious artifacts are concerned, as you can imagine, throughout the hospital, there were enormous number of religious artifacts, statues and pictures, and crucifixes. So we actually allowed some of our colleagues to take those home. They wanted a small memento of St. Francis, and then there was.
You said Columbus is in a warehouse.
Well, yeah, right. We didn't want to see it was destroyed. We wanted people to use it. So it was again sad, but it was a very nice way to give us some closure.
Thank you.
It's in a warehouse.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ray Brolo from the Laborers International Union of North America. Before I start, Democracy is alive and well here in this building. We're all talking about a problem and solving it. So I want everybody to give yourselves a round of applause, please. As you can see the men in orange, we do have women in our local, but they're all men here today. 14 of them here. 2 of them, I think, live within walking distance of this project, and they will be working on this project. So I applaud Mayor Reed, Council President, Councilwoman at large. Did I get that right? I think I did. So I applaud you guys for helping us and seeing our members work. The project's going to start in October. That's close enough for our members to work and get a couple paychecks to provide some gifts for their kids or their grandkids when they get home. So thank you very much. That's my comment.
I would say, let's give thanks to the people who do the real work, which is making sure that stuff gets done and it's done in an appropriate way. And again, these are not easy jobs. These are not easy jobs. Thank you. And congratulations. Thank all of you.
We appreciate the fact that you guys are coming to tear it down instead of letting it sit there and be an eyesore like Mercer Hospital. Because it depreciates the value of our homes as well as sit there and you guys don't do nothing about it. So we appreciate that as well.
No, Trinity has made a promise. Trinity's going to follow through on that promise. So, I stand here with great confidence saying that that's going to happen.
Thank you guys for holding this. I have 9 questions to get back to the demolition and stuff that's happening. The first thing is I live on Bird Avenue, this is my neighbor. I bought the house because something happened to me, one of our children being able to drag our bodies across the street to be able to get up. So it was really, really important that our space was there. And in looking at it, this is climate week, climate change and stuff is happening. I love trees, and there are a lot of really mature, gorgeous trees on the property. You guys have been coming back, thank you to help with some of the security and stuff that's happening. But when you're doing your demo, are you all preserving the existing trees that are there? Or are we going to be seeing them cut down, dug up?
If they interfere, and I've got a big voice, so I shouldn't need the mic. If they interfere with the actual demolition process or would get damaged because of the demolition process, they would probably come out. However, I have no objection if they're sitting far enough away that they're not going to be damaged to leaving them. That's up to Trinity and the mayor to all agree, yes, you can do that. Now, I will tell you, when they go to do new construction, I can't make any promises.
Well, I would like the trees to be preserved because Trenton is on the map as being one of those places because we don't have enough trees that it's a heat source, especially in the summertime. If it's just going to be 18 months, it would be really important. Bird Avenue doesn't actually buy that hospital. You guys have most trees that are in that section, so it would just be a dramatic impact if the trees, if you don't protect the trees when you guys are doing them. Also, curious in terms of love that you're dismantling it as opposed to imploding and whatnot. And in doing that, I know that there are municipalities and states and whatnot that are trying to go in and kind of recycle as much of what they're taking apart. There's a whole kind of secondary industry for that. Are you guys participating in that? Or are you taking that up into a
Understand, anything that I have to take to a landfill costs me a lot of money, okay? Especially in Mercer County, for those that aren't aware, I have to take it to the Mercer County landfill, okay? It costs big dollars. Every bit of concrete on site will be recycled and put back in the hole, okay? All the steel, copper, aluminum, all the metals will be pulled out separate and sent to a scrapyard for recycling. Relative to gypsum and that stuff, no, that will end up in the landfill, to be honest with you. It's too costly to try to salvage it at this point. What you're talking about is the disassembly of buildings, and there are municipalities working towards it, but it's more for heavy timber buildings. These are all reinforced concrete buildings, except for the parking garage, which is a steel structure. So,
Would there be any, I know you're using a lot of these sprayers to keep the dust and stuff down, so inevitably there will be some that will be in the air. I know I went out and went to Costco and bought an air purifier and trying to figure out how to manage when you guys do start construction. Is there going to be any tenting or anything else like that to try to keep the dust on your property?
no. You could, that 9-story, how are you going to tent that? It's just not.
Really big tent.
Really, really. Yeah, the answer is no. I will say that when asbestos removal is done, there is a type of tenting that's done inside the building that prevents, and then they pull what's called negative air. You put fans that have special filters on them, high efficiency particulate filters, and it creates a negative pressure so nothing can get out. It's basically sucking the plastic walls in. So that definitely will happen, but relative to tenting in buildings, no.
So how do you all monitor the air quality? Or how can we monitor the air quality once you're starting to use them?
Actually, that's not a bad idea. We'll have to talk within the company about it. We might periodically do some testing, like maybe when we first start, and just see what the results are, and then maybe the first building is a steel structure, that's different than when we go to concrete. So let me talk to my bosses and see if they'll let me do that.
Okay. I think there was some conversation that hasn't really started that Trenton was engaging in some air quality monitoring between sensors kind of all over the city. That you should be able to go to like a website and look at how things are going.
We've got vibration monitoring. Trinity is doing vibration monitoring. To the best of my knowledge, we have a contract with us monitoring. Like I said, let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, to be honest with you.
So that's my follow-up question is, so that since you're going to be active for 18 months, possibly 24 months, which I imagine as you kind of go from building to building, there's lots of things that might be happening that we would want to at least be able to track the progress of how you're moving on that site so we can, plan our lives. When we have a birthday party or not, whether we're going to be able to have that type or not. Given websites and technology and all that's out there, is there going to be an opportunity for us to be able to just kind of watch those track what's going on so we can plan our lives rather than have to just look out the window and figure out.
Well, the other thing you can do is contact our superintendent. If you're planning a birthday party, it might not be a bad idea to either contact the mayor to get in touch with me or somebody in the city with the permits department to get in touch with me, something along those lines. I just finished my granddaughter's birthday party, so I understand, okay? But the idea, first of all, most birthday parties are going to be on Saturdays or Sundays, and hopefully we aren't working then.
So right now, I'm really glad that the site has got a bunch of fencing up, and so as you start to take stuff down, generally it's going to be pretty unpleasant to look at. Are you guys considering any screening in the tenting or working with any local artists to put some screening up, green to fill those things so we don't have to?
We have not been contracted to do that.
We want it to look pretty.
Demolition is not pretty. It's not pretty to you, it's pretty to me, and probably pretty to these guys. Especially the check each week, right, guys? So we have not been contracted to do that, and to be honest with you, we've always had problems with screening because the wind blows over the fence now. Okay, and it's a continual pain. Can it be done? Yeah, it can be done, but obviously it's something that has to be addressed. All right.
Can you talk about what's the level of noise that you're going to experience?
Noise?
The level of noise?
Actually, it's not anywhere near as noisy as you think. The places that it'll get noisy is probably when we're hammering the footings and foundations. Hammers make noise, okay? But during the regular, it's not that noisy because, like I said, it's a Pac-Man. He's kind of doing this or he's shearing with a scissor. So Now, I will tell you, machines starting in the morning, they're not quiet, okay? But you're also on a big site, a lot of buildings. You'll probably find, and this is just from my personal experience, cloudy days, 2 blocks away you might hear the noise, but you right there won't hear it if you're right across the street. The noise goes up, hits the clouds, and comes back down. Okay, it's kind of strange, but that's what happens. But I don't think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
I love pleasantly surprised, especially when you're so then I just want to say, on Bird Avenue, we love the permit parking.
Yes.
It makes it possible for us to actually
Don't take
on
it
the
down.
street.
You love what?
We love the permit parking on Bird Avenue.
Oh, the permit parking.
We love it. We love it a lot.
Thank you.
Council.
My question is regarding, like you said, the demo equipment it's cutting. Is there any video or website you can look at regarding them, showing like the equipment you said?
The equipment?
It's going to be used to cut it? And
I'm sure there's plenty. Go to the National Demolition Association website. And yes, I am pushing the National Demolition Association because I'm a board member and a committee chair. And if not, you can contact me and I can get you something from Cherry Hill, or check the newspaper or the news from the Cherry Hill Mall area. It's probably the best thing to do. I don't think we have any video posted.
Thank you.
When they demolished Trenton Central High School originally, they had monitors along the fences for air quality.
Yeah.
And it was done by the company that was demolishing it. Is it possible when you do it, can you have an independent company do it? Because
Well, first of all, for instance, the examination of the buildings around all the residents that got notices, it's always third party. We would do third party because you're right, somebody could skew results as they do it themselves. We don't even own any of that monitoring equipment. Okay, so it would be third party if we do it.
would it be tested every day?
I don't, that's something we still have to discuss. Okay, in-house.
I think that if you look at the laws, the Department of Environmental Protection does not require air monitoring unless it's a case of major dust or asbestos.
Asbestos, it always is monitored. You're absolutely right. The basic requirement for dust is keeping it within the fence line or the property line, not even the fence line,
but
the property.
cementitious particles are also carcinogenic, right? So you want to keep those within.
Well, that's the whole point is yes. That is under the silica rules, that's OSHA regulations rather than EPA though. There's a whole, you don't want to get into the different regulations.
No, but I would like to get monitors put there.
I understand, and as I said, we'll address that.
I have one question. So will the state of New Jersey be issuing any permits for the second practice demolition? And if so, can you tell me what specific permits that I will be?
Will New Jersey give permits?
The state of New Jersey does not issue demolition permits, the local municipality does.
But is there any other permits?
The asbestos removal, that's a state.
I think you said in mid-October is when you're going to start,
Yes.
but you can't answer any questions. You asked you about permitting, you asked you about safety and things like that, and everything's still in process. That's what I understood, right? So I think we're just a little confused as to why those things aren't ready yet. We're almost at the beginning of October, and you really don't have a lot of answers. And I think that's a concern for everyone here. When will you have those answers? And will you present that to the public then?
Permit has been issued for the demolition of the garage. It'll be picked
so
up
that's
tomorrow, the
already-
hydrant.
okay.
The others were applied for this morning. It is a process that you have to go through, okay? I can't sit here and say, yes, I will have it on this date, because A, I have work to do, so does the electric company, so does the gas company, so does the water company. all those things. That's the permits. Okay, relative to dust monitoring, to be honest with you, like I said, I have to discuss that with my bosses and Trinity as well. Okay? What other questions are there? We've been pretty straightforward.
You haven't answered, things are still in planning. That's what you said about the traffic control and things like that.
Well, the truck route, that was the only thing, and that's, like I said, we're going to go through local haulers, most probably, who know the appropriate truck routes. And I'll probably have to get that cleared with your office, okay? So, you know, all that, understand that we were awarded this contract 2 months ago. It takes a lot to get something like this rolling. Okay, I have to have subcontracts signed for the asbestos removal. I have to have permits. There's a lot going on, okay?
Thank you for that question, Ms. Early.
Who's going to be the owner of the construction of the building, or the construction they're going to be building that place of it? Is the city, state, or private company?
I think that's yet to be determined. Who's going to actually be on the site after the fact? That's yet to be determined. But again, this demolition is going to take probably 2 years. So this is a good time to sort of start that discussion as to what would people like to see, right, and what is feasible, and what's realistic, and what developers may be interested in participating in the development of the site.
So the owner going to be the city, the state, or private company? That's my question. Who's going to be the owner?
I would think the city is really the
city?
The key entity.
So what are the permits that you apply for today?
The other 9 buildings? The other 9 buildings.
Just for clarity.
Yep.
Just a suggestion, before you start all this, why don't you go make sure that the mayor and yourself go stand on the corner of Greenwood Avenue and Chambers Street at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then go stand in front of the front entrance of the high school at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then go stand on the other side of Trenton High. Our neighborhood is under stress. Now the mayor wants to put a 72-room apartment building on the other corner.
Absolutely not. It's been voted down.
It's been voted down?
Yep. On planning board.
No, at the last zoning board meeting, it wasn't. We were there. And we were there.
I'm not in favor of that.
It was moved to next month.
I'm not in favor of that. They did an end run around everyone and went right to the zoning board.
October 15th, then either you don't know it or the zoning board doesn't know it. Somebody doesn't. Maybe you guys should talk.
Talk all the time.
Well, we're under a lot of stress with the Circle F apartment buildings. And the high school, when you put this high school in, you put the entrances on each corner. Try and get around 5 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a nightmare.
The SDA built this school.
No, you were the one that pushed on it. I was in your office when you were on West State.
100% I pushed to get this building built.
Right.
Come on, Mr. Mayor.
So again.
Anyway, would you please consider at least that our neighborhood is going to be under stress?
Absolutely, that's why we're here.
Well, then here's the thing. When we went to the zoning board meeting, they said, well, you know, when they put the apartment building up, we'll have enforcement going on. Well, Mr. Mayor, we have permit parking in front of the high school. Nobody enforces the parking permits because, quote unquote, your department, you're in City Hall says, we don't want to give tickets to the parents, even though that's why we put the permits there. We don't want to make sure, we don't want to alienate any of the parents that are picking up their kids. Yet, I have to go out in front of my house and roll down, when the parents sit waiting for the kids, roll down the window, throw out the McDonald's hamburgers, and you haven't lived, Mr. Mayor, until you scrape off dried up McDonald's sauce off your porch and half-eaten hamburgers out of your bushes. We need help, and the mayor's office or the city doesn't want to enforce this. Nobody wants to give tickets. And now, when you knock this down, you're telling me that the traffic isn't going to be changed at all? Are you kidding me?
I didn't say that.
Well, I'm talking. What it seems to me is that there's not much planning going on in making sure that trucks and the school and the kids and the McDonald's and the Circle F and all these people that are going to be putting to this small area is not being addressed, and it doesn't seem like there's enough planning to it. And as mayor, I expect you to take the lead.
Absolutely. Well, I think one of the first steps was to, the superintendent, the high school principal, contractors, and see if there are any anticipated issues. It's not like there's the whole truck issue. I understand that one. But as far as you're not bringing in 1,000 cars a day to take this done. You have workers, and there's a place to park for them. So it's not like you're adding that much to the traffic count, but the truck route has to be taken into consideration. I agree with that completely.
And my question is this, I guess maybe city council members would know, but isn't there an ordinance that work can't start in the city of Trenton until 8 o'clock in the morning?
No. Normally it's, and I don't know, I can't quote you the rule, it's 7 normally.
7?
In most cities, yeah. Just.
I thought the city of Trenton had 8.
Well, there's the other problem is, let's say you shift and you say 8 or 9 o'clock to alleviate. Now you've got problems with, well, you're making noise during dinner, and there's problems during dinner. So you got to look at both sides of it.
And I am, because in the morning at 7 o'clock, between 7 and 7:30, this place is a madhouse. The traffic stops, kids are being left off.
Well, in all honesty, most probably we wouldn't be running trucks at that time in the morning. That would probably stagger to a later time, just because we don't want a truck sitting in traffic for 2 hours that costs money. Okay, in all honesty. So we might stagger them on the hauling.
I just think there should be more planning done.
Want me to go up? I could use the
I try to
exercise.
get my steps in.
That's what I'm doing.
Yes. This question is to the mayor. I live on Bird Avenue. I live on the second block of Bird Avenue. So I'm hearing you talking about the traffic. Do you know the amount of traffic that comes down Bird Avenue starting at 5 a.m.? That our houses are now vibrating from all the amount of large traffic coming through? Fast traffic, they're driving through like it's Route 1 on the highway. I wish you would please consider checking into that. I appreciate that.
Did you want to address that, or?
Yeah, real quick. This is the first administration that did speed bumps. If you go in the next street over, Revere, we put in speed bumps. The petition, get your neighbors to sign a petition to put in speed bumps, but there is a process, and we're allowing speed bumps. Completely understand. Well, you can't, unfortunately, you can't have a police officer in every single block of the city. I wish we could, but we get it, that there's more and more kids are just driving like as fast as they can. And it is unfortunate, and that's the reason why we decided to install speed bumps.
We were supposed to get repaid, and I called their engineer about this last year, 2024. And said it wasn't in the budget for us to get repaid. It would be in this budget this year for this summer. Well, the summer has passed. It is now fall. If Bird Avenue still didn't get repaid.
If it's, I can check and see where it's on the list.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Key question again, because I'm thinking about the money. If the money gonna come down from the city, so the city gonna own, later on, 2-3 years later, nobody gonna come down like, oh, we own this building, the city sold to us. So the city can afford that construction over there, can afford it. All the money for the construction gonna come out from the city, from the taxpayer. Later on, nobody gonna come up like investor, hey, we buy this building, we bought this building because the city can afford it. Nothing gonna happen like that, nothing gonna happen in the future.
Our intention is to find a developer who will develop the property. This is any other project. This is any other project.
Here we go. Investor.
So I just want to say thank you for coming out tonight. I'm just stretching my legs. Those that know me know I got bad knees. So, but I just want to thank you for coming out tonight, and then for having this conversation. Thank you, man, for setting this up, and thank you to the residents, the union, everybody that came out tonight. Some of us are hearing the plights of the people in this area, and while I live out West Trenton and I don't have some of the issues that you have, please understand that your concerns are not falling on deaf ears for those of us on council that are sitting here in this room. You have legitimate complaints, you have legitimate concerns. I've said, myself being a teacher leader here in this high school, sometimes battling to try to get in the front parking lot to park. It is a zoo out here in the morning. My start day, I start at 7 a.m. in the morning. I'm here, so I'm okay. But for those teachers and students that have to be here by 7:20, 7:25, it is a nightmare first thing in the morning. It is. And then we have elementary school kids and the like that they start around 8 something in the morning. So you'll have kids walking through this area. You'll have residents walking through this area, and even like I said, the dusty of the day with the swelling up and everything. You have people with breathing issues. It's a lot of things that are going on. The concern about us not having another medical facility here, I understand that these things are in the works and it will be discussed. We have a health professionals community here within the high school. We have 5 different small learning communities. One is health professionals. We had a wonderful relationship with St. Francis. I'd like to see that. I do want to see a health facility here. One, because we need another one.
Yes.
2, because we want to see the connection to help our children so that we can have that relationship so that they can continue to learn, so that they can have jobs when they get out of school. Everybody's not going to college, but we certainly need healthcare professionals, the CNAs, the nurses, and the like. So we want to have that relationship. So I want to see that, right? We shouldn't have to travel to Capital Health Regional and then go out to Hopewell if we want help, or Robert Wood Johnson. I love Capital Health. My mom worked there and retired there for 36 years, registered nurse, hemodialysis under Helen Ford. I was born in St. Francis, 1970. I get it. Change is here in the city and things are happening and we have to move ahead, but we also have to have a plan. And so I understand again where you all are coming from. We all need to see more, we need to hear more, and there has to be better communication across the board so that everyone understands exactly what's happening. I'm concerned just as much as all of you are concerned, and hopefully, as we move forward in this process, the mayor and his team will get you exactly what you need. Council members are here, we hear it. We're going to ask our questions and push that you do get what you need. Because everybody here is important and everyone's concerns are important. So I just wanted you to hear that from me, that you have my continued support and commitment to see what's going on. I even talked to our Student Government Association here. I am the advisor of them. And I told them, we need to keep an eye on St. Francis and what's going on. Advocate for the students here in the school. Have the conversations because it is important. We want to make sure everybody's safe and healthy in this process. So I just wanted to leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I've just been corrected. You're right, it's not 72 apartments, it's 72.
I'm totally opposed to the project. They went straight to the zoning board. They did not even, there's not one meeting in my calendar that I had with them. So actually there was, and I told them they were crazy. And then they went right to the zoning board. But the purpose of these meetings is to hear from you. And shame on us if we don't react to them. But the easiest, and we could save Trinity $20 million, they could just walk away, just like Mercer, and just leave it. And we don't want that either. So it is really a difficult thing that we're in, but we hope what's gonna be there to replace the campus will be a lot better than there is now.
And this feedback is very important. This is
A lot of people weren't aware of these meetings, like for instance, if it wasn't for my neighbor informing me about this meeting, I wasn't aware of it, and I live across the street from St. Francis Hospital. As far as informing people about what's going on, we gotta do a little bit better. Because when she told me, today I got up out of my bed, started knocking on the doors with the neighbors who I knew was home and tell them, it's a meeting, you guys, you gotta come out and talk to the mayor. They're gonna be at the school today. But a lot of people are not aware of it, a lot of people. So I don't know how y'all getting this information out, but it's not getting out.
Yeah, we
like
need
it
to give
should.
people more notice, you
Yeah.
know.
Send
Can you
flyers
talk a
in the
little bit
mail.
about
Agreed.
where do you post notice? Because I found out from my daughter's godparents who live in Lawrenceville, and somehow it ended up in their Lawrenceville information news thing. But I live in Trenton across the street. How do I?
Yeah, there was a notice, it was very late, it was yesterday. There was a notice in the paper.
Facebook page or something?
But no, I think we can improve the communications process.
You send flyers in the mail, because everybody don't have a phone. Everybody don't know how to do email.
Thank you.
Good point. What else?
And I'll put in a plug for the City of Trenton's Facebook page and Instagram page. Notices were there. And I know there was a full page ad in Trentonian. It's never enough. We're down to one newspaper. We do have the Trenton Times, but they don't cover the city. So it's difficult.
Yeah, we'll try to give people more notice and look at other ways we can get the word out.
Yeah. If we don't do nothing else, I hope we do just build something concerning healthcare, because Helen Ford is overwhelmed. They cannot pull the weight of this city. They cannot. You ever go there and watch?
To where?
Capitol Health now, but they're all Helen Ford. The distress that those doctors and nurses are under because we don't have no other hospital, because we closed down, it's a mess. It's not fair.
Well, that's why, again, I urge whatever comes after the demolition, that there be a medical arts
That's right.
urgent care facility
Sure.
there.
We
And-
sure don't want no apartment building, so don't even think about that. It's overcrowded now. We really parking on top of each other.
That's why I want seniors, they don't have cars.
Yeah. We don't even want
Hold on.
them.
I have a question.
I'm a senior.
Your medical
I'm
arts.
sure Dr. Schwartz is taking notes here.
On the medical arts thing, will that, like, you said urgent care, I said urgent care. Will it be like a med surge thing? Like, will we have like med surge for it? Like, you got, like, you go to ER, you get admitted, because, like, even now, like, as my neighbor said, you go over to RMC, and if there's a trauma, a lot of times they go on diversion. And you gotta go to Rockwood, you gotta go to Hopewell.
Even while Capitol Health continued with the emergency room, if there was a critical care, they transported you. So, in the very least, the urgent care can stabilize you until they can transfer you to another hospital. But I think, and again, I'm going to advocate that there be a medical arts urgent care at that site.
You can have that, but
But you have to, you know, it'd be great to get an emergency room there, but you have to get a developer willing to do that.
Yeah, because I think we
business.
were over, for the size of the city, when we had three, with Mercer, Helen Ford, and St. Francis at one time in the 90s. They said we had too many beds in the city. Now we don't have enough. And, you know, with them transferring the open heart surgery thing there and then being a trauma unit, what do you do?
Yeah, so I know, I can't speak for Capitol, but I know that there's been expansion of the emergency room facilities at regional as well, right?
Yeah.
They have a state-of-the-art vascular and heart unit that just opened up
Like
2
last
weeks
week?
ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Right now.
Oh, really? Nobody could top St. Francis. It did my heart surgery.
Well, we will, you know, it's our aim to continue these discussions.
Thank you.
Everyone that I was taking notes brought up great points. You know, who knew about the trees? But I agree. The city's planting 1,000 trees this year. So
We got some pretty trees. We want our trees.
I love trees. If you look at my license plate, there's a tree on it.
So we estimate this is about 2 years, the demolition. So what do you think we gotta get the investors?
27.
So I'm just trying to think when we're gonna start putting something else there.
We want to do that as rapidly as possible, but as Steve said, he just came in our offices less than 2 weeks ago to submit a demolition plan, which is operable, and also only got one permit so far, but he's applied for the rest of it.
Thank God, they ain't leaving it there, they taking it down.
Yes, and that's what we want. We want them to do. Yes, sir.
She said something about that.
Moving forward, I'll make, what's that?
Is there anything to kind of protect the small businesses that have been here? Perhaps now, in the future?
I think you hear you. Hold on.
Walmart pushed about this out, they opened up the Hamilton. Good question. Is there anything like that to help us, since we have been here for the past few years, rebuilding whatever business there is left in Trenton? Is there anything that...
There's a business owner on Hamilton Avenue, he's talking about the business.
Yeah, we don't, I doubt a Walmart would come in here, so, but we want.
We have halfway for us to, like, once we manage to want to expand the property that you guys...
Yeah, when you have a mixed-use development, there's opportunities to put stores in there, and to weave in the development.
So is there anything that you guys can protect us?
Something that going to protect the small businesses.
Yes, yes.
We've been here managing this since the 70s. For like someone who's moved in, I want to see how competition can be a nightmare since it's a lifetime business, right?
Well, the more you have a developable scheme, it actually attracts more people, and if they go to your store one day, they'll go to the other store the next day, but in the end, there's more traffic altogether.
No, I understand traffic, but there's not really much protection for businesses. Like, right now, there's going to be 4 project places coming out. So, like, what are we doing? We do something to protect businesses.
Well, part of it is whether the zoning board or approves a plan. That's all part of the discussion that they have when you have discussions of what will be built at that site.
I think and I understand his concern because I work with the small businesses, grocery store owners, all of that, and I think what he tried to find out is we're going to have big building over there. We're going to have big, spaces. Do you planning to bring like a Subway, a restaurant, big restaurant that's going to bring down all the small businesses over here in Hamilton Avenue, grocery store, all of that? That's what he's asking for. We need protection for those people. So are you thinking about protecting the small businesses?
Absolutely. We don't want businesses to fail. We have a urban enterprise zone coordinator that operates out of the Housing and Economic Development Office, and we are constantly weighing what plans are in that area.
Well, we'll just wait and see what happens. We all gonna do our best.
Again, the alternative is do nothing.
So, what I was going back to that, you're saying, right now there's 3 project places. Right across the street. So what is going on with that?
I didn't hear your question, I'm sorry.
Like right now, there's 3 project places in Manhattan, 2 blocks. There's another one across the street. So how is there protection for small businesses?
There's no control over what a business establishes. It's part of the economy. We can't control chicken places and limit them. That would have to be done by ordinance. Unfortunately, that's part of the business cycle. If there's a commercial property and someone buys it, we can't control when it's built there.
We have to. They're going to bring down all those businesses. We have to control
So
it.
you got a couple of council people that could put in a a limit of those visits?
Right, I was gonna say, and what I'm hoping for, sorry, Councilman Williams, is whatever the community wants to see, right? We get an idea of what we want to have, right? We all, I think most of us are in agreement with having a medical service, medical, some type of healthcare, but whatever goes on top or around, that's something the community can decide at once, and I think we are listening. So whatever it is that you all want to see as collective, we will pitch that, and whatever developer or whoever decides to do that property, if they don't give us what we want, then we don't agree to what they want to do. You understand? So that's kind of how that's going to work. But I also want to just quickly mention, because I'm stepping out, there is a city staff meeting that happens every month. And I know we were here mainly for the construction piece of it, just to have an understanding of that. But there's a city staff meeting that we have once a month that you can bring all of these concerns, like your parking, the lighting, those trees, bring that into City Hall and we can speak to our directors directly. I believe the next one is October 15th, we at 5:30.
But I just want to follow, please stay for a second. Because I was on zoning board for 14 years. So when an issue comes up in zoning, particularly with relation to business in that area that has similar business, you can bring that up. And definitely discuss it. You have to just make sure you bring it up on zoning against certain types of businesses in the same area, you said. But the zoning board members realize that you have 200 chicken places on the same block. Obviously,
What's going on with you, man? Talk to Dr. Ronald lately?
they will hear you, hear your concerns, and they will do a report of the Same thing happened with McDonald's. McDonald's, there was a heck of a fight on the zoning board.
Yeah, he's keeping himself busy.
Providing food to
He always loved me.
there was a place where people could actually bring salads. But that was an issue where the community spoke out early on.
Now that you bring that up, what about the Dollar Tree, all those dollar stores, food in the city, you know, back in the city before that?
Oh, yeah. If it is, then it becomes an economic. He's going to have to be
I know what that is. I always then 10 years ago. All the directors were all there. Right. No, I believe, but I think why is expressing interest. Yeah, but the zoning board itself is the ones that take money. I'm the mayor, so I told them, please, I saw yours, I just saw one today. He says, what?
I wrote it down. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let me say something to you right quick. Oh, okay.
Yes, but not anymore. Not anymore.
How you doing, friend? Many years. We'll be in touch.
Indulge everybody one more time. We're wrapping up, but we will make an announcement of when the next hospital St. Francis site meeting will occur. Have a follow-up meeting with this. Thank you.